Call the meeting of the Parks Commission to order. Take attendance. Roll call.
Absolutely. Jablonski.
Here.
Let's see. Ms. Converse.
Here.
Myself here. Mr. McCann.
Here.
Ms. Holland.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Ms. Page.
Here.
Okay. First item of the agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 1st. We have copies there in front of us. Does anybody have a question or addition? Or
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments. Do we?
Yes, you have one this evening, Mr. Ken Morse.
All right.
My name's Ken Morse. I'm the chairperson of the Polk City Arbor League. I'd like to just give you an update on what the Polk City Arbor League has been up to. For the benefit of the people that might not be aware, I'd like to just give a brief history of the Polk City Arbor League. We've been in business for about 35 years. We have been Tree City USA for 31 years. That's a direct result of the Arbor League. We've done an Arbor Day planting every year for the school for about 31 years. The first project that we did was at the sports complex. Virtually every tree at the sports complex was planted by the Arbor League, as well as virtually every tree at Kiwanis Park. West Elementary School, all the trees out in front, and most of the other trees. When they did the addition, there were a few trees put in that the Arbor League not responsible for. The Arbor League planted all of the trees at Leonard Park, a lot of the trees at Doc Simmer Park, most of the trees at Lakeside Linear Park on Parker Boulevard, all of the trees at the Deer Haven at East Broadway Park, a lot of the trees on Town Square. Last year we split the cost with the city to replant all of the trees up at Miller Park that were taken out due to the trade show and Emerald Ash Borer. Our most recent project, and again, of those projects above, virtually all of those projects, with the exception of Miller Park that we split with the city, all of those other projects previously mentioned were done at $0 cost to the city. Arbor League money and volunteer effort. Most recently we planted, and then Woodhaven Park down at the end of Woodhaven at East Broadway. And in fall of 22 we put in 6 trees up at Woodhaven Park. I said Woodhaven down there, but Woodhaven Park up on Parker Boulevard. 6 trees in fall of 22. This spring we put in 13 trees. Those 13 trees represented nearly $11,000, 2/3 of which was paid for by the Arbor League. Last fall I made an appearance before the council, or the Parks Commission, requested approval to plant trees and get boulders in Woodhaven Park. That permission was granted. That park space at Woodhaven up on Parker Boulevard has been a park space for about 15 years. No one has ever used or played there, utilized that park in any manner. The Arbor League planned the project, selected 13 trees to plant in addition to the 6 trees planted in the fall of 22. The last planting of 13 trees was nearly $11,000. The Arbor League paid 2/3 of. Polk City Arbor League members shopped for the trees, selected the trees, oversaw the entire planting project, mulched and wrapped all the trees. And I'd like to thank Phil Jensen and Leslie Temmie, good Arbor League members, for all of their support. The other part of that project was to get some boulders up there. With the trees in the area, it looks much more like a park than a wasteland as it did before. And now, if we can get the boulders moved up there, I can assure you that the area will be viewed as an inviting park space and drawing kids. Kids love climbing on rocks, and the city has the rocks. They just need to get put up to the park. The Arbor League will continue to do maintenance on city park trees that we have planted to the best of my and our abilities. And that's my report. Thank you very much.
Hey, Ken,
Yes,
can I just ask you real quick, is that park you're talking about, Woodhaven, is that where the gas line
it is.
goes through? Okay. that's
That
what-
gas line is 600 feet by 80 feet, and we basically cannot plant on it other than on the very, very outer edges. And I had hoped to be able to plant all the way along both sides of it, but by the time you get to the edge of the right of way, you're right into the neighbors' backyards. So I don't see that being able to be planted as I had hoped for. There's a little bit of room there, but there's not much. And then at the east end of the park, it flares out into a big Y, which is the section that we planted. And I think it was put that way originally for construction purposes. Where we planted, there are no gas utilities or anything like that there, so we planted 19 trees we put in there in the last year and a half.
We got some big ones in there too.
All of those trees were spaded in, and all of those trees are in the neighborhood of $1,000 a piece.
Ken, what's the health of the trees, all the trees that you've planted? You know,
All
in
of everything's growing, everything's healthy. The Arbor League over the years, we've lost a few trees due to emerald ash borer and the derecho, but the Arbor League has maintained and pruned all of the trees we've planted over the last 30 years and continue to do so. We've had extremely high success rate. In the early years, due to a lot of factors, money and labor, we hand planted trees, container grown trees. You could get a lot more for our money back then, and at the time we were buying trees for $50 a piece. Now those same trees are $250, and for $1,000 we get one spaded in, and so we're getting a lot more bang for our buck, burning up money real fast. So, I mean, as far as being able to continue to spade trees, I mean, it's limited as to where we can do that too, because it kind of tears up the ground. That was a place to do it. All of the trees that we planted continue to survive.
And future plans, like, do you have
The future plans
in
are
terms
very,
of an area or park, or, like, where
future
you?
plans for the Arbor League are very uncertain. I'm done. And unless someone else steps up to the plate, the Arbor League is on its last leg. And to be totally honest, we've got enough money in the bank that I can plan one more planting. But if somebody else doesn't step up to this program, we're done.
Can I ask where does the Arbor League money come from? You said the city.
We have held fundraisers for years, and we've gotten some donations, and we've had funding from specifically Mid-American Energy for the last several years, but that Mid-American grant is a matching grant program. So if they give us $1,000, we've got to put in $1,000. A couple of years ago, we had a good private donation, but our funds are just about gone, and if nobody else steps up to the plate, my intent is to burn up the funds with planting projects.
And then the Tree City USA designation would
Tree
still
City
go if there
USA has
isn't a-
been turned over to Jason Tran in the city state.
I see.
The Arbor League was responsible for getting it initially for the first 29 years. Jason has taken that over. That's in his court. There's no reason that can't continue. One of the obligations of Tree City USA is to hold an Arbor Day celebration, which the Arbor League has done. But the Arbor League is done.
the city thing.
That's up to the future, not mine.
Okay.
Now, when you say that the Arbor League is done, is it pretty much been you, or are there other people in the group that just also say that they don't want to step up?
We are down to a very core group, but very few people. And I've got a couple of the people that are kind of out there in the wings, and I've got people that are willing to continue to help out, but the principal players in this whole program, like myself, have done our 30-plus years, and all I need is a new leader. I will help out, and I will give guidance, and so will the other people, specifically Phil Jensen. Phil doesn't even live in the city, but has been in this thing just as long as I have, and will continue to help out. There needs to be a new chairperson, a new secretary, a new assistant chairperson, a new treasurer. A couple of those offices people have kind of stepped up to, but primary office is the seat that I've been in, and it's vacant.
What's the best way to get a hold of you for information? I don't have a phone.
Does the Arbor League have
Facebook
an
page.
email or Facebook page?
I think we do have, and I don't know, Mindy runs, but I don't know Facebook. Mindy runs the Facebook page. There's my,
Thanks, sir.
you're welcome. I don't do Facebook, but we do have a Facebook page. There is an email thing there, but I don't really want what I want is somebody to step up and run the program, so
And qualifications, the person that's set up, do they need to have a good background in trees, or is it just a willing to be a leader?
We need someone who, like myself, is a dedicated volunteer. I came into this thing purely wanting to help the city. I did not have any background in this, and my experience has come with 30 years of doing it. And we need another tree hugger, and I would prefer to have it be someone younger than myself. I'd like to have some new, fresh ideas and someone that's got the enthusiasm and drive that I had 30 years ago. But it does not require much, and it's a tremendous opportunity to give a lot back to the community.
And you're willing to basically hold their hand for a while?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Thank you, Ken, for
Yeah,
all your
thank you.
years of
Thank
service
you.
and
You're welcome.
bringing regular updates to Parks Commission.
You're
We
welcome,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
So if we hear of anyone, have them reach out via the
I would love
Facebook
it.
group or.
They can call me directly, and yeah, I mean,
Contact you.
I'll be happy to mentor anybody who wants to run this.
Okay.
Can I have a quick question, backing
Yes.
up to the boulders that you were talking about?
Yes.
You said that the city has them, but they
Yes.
need to be moved. Is that
Yes,
something
that's
that,
purely a matter of getting public works to put them in place.
and there's a plan for where they're going and all of
I'm
that?
not sure about that.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Again, thanks Ken for all your years of service. And
You're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to give you an update.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
You too.
Do we would it be behooving as the city or the commission to put the word out, or is this something just, I know, like Polk City has the Facebook page, would that be something appropriate to put something like that out there, or?
So
Is
you're
this word of
speaking
mouth?
in terms of new leadership?
Yeah.
No, I can put something on my department's Facebook page. We can help out on social media.
I didn't have Polk City, so
Well, you've only been here 3 years.
true.
It's okay.
But still, we have a lot of new community members, so we should.
All right. Have a presentation from the Polk City Arts and Culture.
All right, so my name is Matt White, and I am presenting on behalf of Polk City Arts and Culture. And so my objective is really just to give you all an overview of, or really an introduction to this new group and our objectives and kind of where we're at and really what our intention for our first project is. So really quick background. Polk City Arts and Culture, we sprung up really as part of a cornerstone of the Iowa Great Places application as an organization to bring arts, both kind of through visual arts, performing arts, literature, and music to the community, kind of as an entity to be able to kind of bring everything together. Included in this is public art, which I was a member of the murals subcommittee from the Polk City Community Visioning Initiative, in which over the last 2 years we've had 2 mural installations, which I hope everyone here has enjoyed, and Monica and Rob are both be part of. But a real quick overview of the organization. We seek to provide opportunities for artists, cultural organizations, and community members to connect, create, and celebrate the richness of arts and culture. And like I said before, this includes visual arts, performing arts, literature, and music. So where we're at right now, I would say we are early phases. So right now we're in the process of finalizing our corporate bylaws, and our primary focus for this year will be establishing our 501c3 nonprofit designation, finalizing our incorporation. Our second main goal for this year is establishing public awareness for an organization like us, public awareness is obviously important because we want involvement. We need funding for large projects and so on and so forth. So to that point, the third main priority is early stage fundraising to cover organizational costs and to seed future projects. So we don't have any immediate projects that we're working on, like a mural or an art installation, but we are looking at some events to get awareness. So the first event that we have coming up is on June 22nd. The location for this event is the sidewalk from Parker Boulevard Tunnel, so the tunnel that goes underneath Parker, to Leonard Park. So there's a stretch of sidewalk there that offers a really great opportunity for us. What we're looking to do is sell or sidewalk squares in the form of goodwill donations to the public for them to paint during an allotted period of time during that day. So this will be a temporary art installation. We're looking at a maximum of 1 year, and we will make it clear that it will be moved at a determined date in the year. So I would say we are in early stages of planning this event, but we feel this is a really good opportunity for other organizations in the community to come together, promote their projects. As this leads into the Leonard Park, we felt this was a great opportunity for the Friends of the Park organization to set up a tent and promote the projects they're working on. So my intention today, like I said, was to make you aware that we exist or in the process of existing, and that's it, and get some feedback. So any questions or
How often are you meeting?
a lot right now. We've been meeting monthly, and that will likely be our cadence on a go-forward basis. But from now until we get to the June 22nd date, I think we're meeting every other week, so quite a bit.
And how many people roughly?
We have, what's the number of people, Rob? 9 people right now. We're currently seeking a 10th member to meet the bylaws. So, yeah. We have a couple people that join every once in a while from the Historical Society as I would say, honorary guests. Any questions or feedback?
What, just curious on the sidewalk squares, what are you looking at, like a group like the Kiwanis to take a square out, or are you looking for just an individuals or both? Or?
We haven't gotten that level of details, but I would say right now we would be open to groups, families, or individuals purchasing a square, and we're leaving the theme of the square open with guidelines and guardrails as far as what can go on the square, and reserving the right to paint over it if it's inappropriate or doesn't fit with the rules.
And what have you set a price for the squares yet, or you
Not officially. We've talked through price ranges, but we haven't officially settled on the price of what it looks like. So I think we might have some early stage fundraising targets of around between $1,500 to $2,000, but we'll see things shake out. We start dividing out those squares. If you're aware of that sidewalk, they're very large squares, and so right now I think we're leaning on splitting those squares into fourths to provide families and people to be able to cover the entire square during a lot of time.
Will you be your 501c3 designation by then, so those donations will be tax deductible?
We will not be a 501c3 by then. unfortunately. I think based off of the timeline we received from the Friends of the Parks, it sounds like that's about a year-long timeline, but there are quite a bit of costs associated with incorporating and getting the 501c3. So this is really covering that, and so no, we won't have 501c3. But
Kudos to you and
Yeah.
all of the group that stepped up to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
being a
thank you.
original member of the Friends of the Parks, yeah, it's not an easy task to start a nonprofit from scratch. You know, I didn't even bear the front of it. A lot of others in the group did, but it's still a lot of work. So
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely an undertaking.
How long have you been in Polk City?
Me personally, I've lived in Polk City now for since 2009. I'm not going to do the math right now.
Yeah, no, but a little while yet.
Yeah, it's been a while. So.
Okay, great. Thank you for the
Thank you
update.
for your effort.
No, thank you. And hopefully I'll have bigger updates in the future. So, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Bye.
Jason?
Yeah, so I've got two things to report back to you guys on tonight. The first came from, I forget if it was Monica or Gail last time, about the mayor's Monarch Pledge. So I looked into it. So that is a program offered through the National Wildlife Federation, so it's legit. And it's an annual thing where a community can pledge that they're going above and beyond for the struggling monarch population in the United States of America. So each year from December 1st to March 31st, your mayor or your highest ranking elected official has the opportunity to make this pledge. And I did put a copy of the requirements of the pledge for you guys to look at. It's quite a lengthy list, and from what I reviewed, you only really need to pledge at least 3. Now some are quite a bit more substantial than others, but it looks very doable and feasible for Polk City to participate in this going forward. Like I mentioned, it was a cutoff of March 31st, so unfortunately we have missed the 24 pledge. But I think looking toward 2025, I think we have an opportunity to take advantage of that. And kind of what I was going to recommend to the commission, if I think at a future commission meeting, we kind of have an actionable discussion about what we would recommend the steps be. Like I said, we need to at least pick 3. And that would give me a little bit more time to maybe dive into some of our code as well as it relates to noxious weed species, to make sure that, you know, if we have labeled the milkweed as such, that would be the first hurdle we would have to do. So that would give staff a little bit more time to really research where Polk City stands right now, you know, with the benefits of monarchs. But I would challenge you guys to take a peek, come back and see if we can identify probably the 3 best for Polk City.
good. Thank you for looking into that.
Are there any other questions, comments about monarchs? Okay, then I will go to, the other thing I wanted to report on is the ongoing regional park feasibility study. So as you guys know, we did partner with Renaissance Group out of Des Moines. Right now they are working their way through the final work sessions and interviews. So again, right now we're going through a combination of these small group meetings where we're hopefully bringing in future champions of the project to hear from me kind of what we're testing. I've gotten some amazing feedback from the small groups thus far. And then after that, we offer an invitation to do a one-on-one where you're just with Renaissance Group and you've had some time to digest what Jason talked to you about, and you can lay it all on the line. If you think it's great, if you think it's terrible, that's your time for a confidential one-on-one. So yeah, right now we are doing that. I would like to invite, I believe Monica and Larry have already done one-on-ones. So for the remaining 5, we have opportunities on May 8th, which is this Wednesday. And if you're interested and it works for you, please talk to me after the meeting and I can get you scheduled, or May 17th. Those would be our last two opportunities to have these one-on-ones with Renaissance Group, and I would love if all 7 of you would have the opportunity to talk with them. This is going to seem a little bit cart before the horse, but in the essence of timing, I will also invite you guys next Monday night. Council is having a work session, so that's May 13th at 5 p.m. Josh with Renaissance Group is going to come give an to-date update on where we're at, and we'll offer a recommendation to what data has been collected thus far. Our target is to have a written and final recommendation at the second council meeting of May. So anything that would happen up till that May 17th one-on-one, that would get incorporated into the final report that council will see that night. But yeah, so I guess the first thing, May 8th, this Wednesday, if anybody's available, I've got my schedule. We can talk after the meeting. May 13th, right here, same place, 5 o'clock. And then, yeah, May 17th is another option. And then May 28th, it's unusual, it's a Tuesday because of the Memorial Day holiday. That'll be when the written report is provided.
So work session, so they'll present to the council, we'll be in the audience just to kind of hear what.
We want to structure, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
again.
is that,
No, absolutely. So what we're talking, in a work session, it's more dialogue based, and we're looking at this as almost like a joint work session. So we're going to figure out where we would place any of you guys that would come. But no, it would be in a capacity that you would be able to provide feedback and ask questions.
oh, so
Yeah, a big kumbaya.
What time, May 17th?
It would be, if it runs like the other one-on-ones, it will be 9 all the way to 4 on the hour and on the half hour. Yes, absolutely. We could set up a Zoom. We could do a phone call too.
do those take place here?
The one-on-ones? Yes. So Josh has been very flexible. He has met some people at their place of work, their home, if you're comfortable with that. Most of them have happened here at City Hall, back in our conference room behind closed doors.
So should we RSVP if we're coming to the work session, or can we just show up?
An RSVP would be fantastic, but if things change, you are just welcome to show on up too. So a no can become a yes very quickly next month. And if you just want to let me know as you guys leave tonight, I'll just kind of check off who we might expect to see next week. But other than that, those are the 2 main things I wanted to report on this evening.
Do you have anything you want to say, what, before, underneath adjournment, you had upcoming programs, do you have anything to say on that?
No, so I think in an effort for more transparency, I've been looking at a lot of park and rec commissions around the metro, and a lot of them have something, you've probably never seen item 6 portrayed as that in the past. So looking for feedback on it, to me, that's where I've been asked to report back on something. So I want you guys to know that that's really, it's more report based. It's really not, it can be discussion, but it's not actionable, right? And then on the bottom, just the upcoming programs and events. Again, something I saw a lot of where that would reflect what's happening that current month, just so you guys see it. If anybody has questions about, hey, Larry, what was going on at Kiwanis Park tonight?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a good idea of what was going on. So May looks a little bleak, but I promise you June's will be off the hook. So.
Reports?
Yes,
Council?
I have a couple things. I was hoping he was going to stay. I wanted to expand on. Ken really undersold a lot of what he was talking about. So that the Arbor League has been a small but mighty group, and he won't ever give me a straight answer. But Phil and him have planted over 1,000 trees in town, and I don't know how many of them are still around, but a lot of them. And I joined the Arbor League a few years ago just to try and, I can kill a tree faster than anybody, and that's still true, but unfortunately he's making me a little bit better. And and Jason stepped up as he talked about with the Tree City USA stuff. But we are in a transition period, and so if to your point, I think that you commented about there's the need there, and I really hope that we can pretty quickly get to a better spot, because no group has done more and asked for more accolades. You know, it was like pulling teeth. You guys saw it tonight, talking about what they've done. And so that's kind of that old school, like, I'm here to volunteer and just get stuff done, and things aren't that way anymore. It's, good or bad, but anyway, no groups have the 30 plus year history that they have. So really like to see that continue. And I think there are people in place. It's not going to probably match what Ken and Phil have done over these years, nor should it, quite honestly, but many hands make light work. So if, just to get a plug in, if anybody wants to share or talk to people, like I said, he's very willing to impart his knowledge, and he's got a lot of it. There's no greater title than Polk City Tree Guy. He's earned every single piece of that. So, if anybody's listening, or you guys can think of any beauty or want to share it, it would be a jump start to kind of make that transition from generation to the next. So I'm going to throw my 2 cents in there. The next thing I had is more of an ambiguous ask. So coming at this, Jason and I have talked very, very briefly, but I would like to throw something to your group and get your guys' feedback on it. So we have green space at 3rd and Davis that we just rejected commercial bids for because we didn't find a good fit. And we've also got not as green, but still an open space next to the library where there was a home. Both are city properties. Both have designated long-term uses. But in the interim, I think there could be another purpose. So my thought would be that this group, I'm going to wink at Darren a couple times because it may involve.
Right now.
Okay. But specific with Little League, softball, soccer, how can we, I'm going to say immediate, and probably not mean immediate, but how can we very quickly, for a short amount of time, use that space? So what I would like this group to maybe structure and give some thought to is it, what kind of practice space is it? What kind of, what would be the uses that you guys would recommend for that? And I'll caveat this up and down. They do have a longer term purpose that isn't. We're focusing on the regional park as Jason had alluded to. That will hopefully be a more permanent solution down the road. But we've got these available now. Can we come up with an interim solution? And I want to be super, super clear that the designated purpose for 3rd Davis is commercial. So that one's really kind of tough to say. When the right bid comes along, will it be developed tomorrow or 15 years from now or anywhere in between? Is, ask the magic 8 ball. I don't know. The long-term purpose for the library or the land next to the library would be library expansion, currently going through a CIP plan. So we should have some clarity on the window to use that, because obviously that will be a relevant factor to make any recommendations, unless they're free and, slam dunks or whatever. But to me, this group is uniquely situated to kind of come from the outside perspective and say, I naturally go to practice fields, but maybe there's another purpose or just beautifying the neighborhood in that interim window. So I think it's legal to talk about that and back and forth, right?
Too late.
Well, I mean, so we can obviously talk about this at a subsequent meeting, but if you guys have thoughts or questions, I'd love to hear them too. Jason and I talked once, so it's not a vetted, comprehensive proposal by any means, but
I
just want to
think
get feedback.
I want to just throw one thing in before we open it up. I would absolutely welcome you guys to go look at both spaces too. Rob and I had conversations not that long ago, and I had went out and looked at the two. I mean, we know the Third Davis fairly well. The library property, go look at it.
That's why I didn't call it a green space.
Right,
It's
yes.
not very green right now.
But I mean, with a little elbow grease, it could become something. But just know that we're not going to go and put something flat on that at the moment. But no, please, I think walking the space will certainly kind of show what's there, what could be, and just kind of get a feel for the area.
I was just saying, I think it's a great idea to do something with those spaces in the interim. I mean, it seems like any open public green space around here gets used by, the Methodist Church, Lakeside. Like, they're always looking for space. I don't have a good pulse on how much more space these groups could use, but if we could gather some of that information, that might be good. And, what could realistically fit on those spaces with some of the site constraints and stuff like that.
And that's exactly what I like to do in a more organized way. And to your point with the Methodist Church and the Lutheran Church, it's kind of like who made the right connections and jumped on that first. Hopefully that's probably aligns to what the most appropriate need is, in as much as you can gain consensus on that. But let's figure out what the need is and then direct it in a way, with that open, dialogue. And so thank you for pointing that out.
Something else to challenge you guys with too is, I mean, that green space at Third and Davis has sat there for quite a while. And to the best of my ability, I believe there used to be a backstop there.
Yep.
When it was removed, why it was removed,
It got
I don't
removed when the curb and gutter went in on Davis, and we lost the ability to kind of pull off Davis and just park there.
know. Okay.
So I don't want to get into some of the asking for feedback. Saying why it can't happen is not productive. So.
No, I think that kind of lends itself to just those groups that could have been using it.
There's definitely
Analyze why we haven't. I think that would also give us some really good feedback too. Of
a comment I've had on several of our parks around the city is they're neighborhood parks. They're really only accessible if you live there or are on foot. If you're driving from areas that are not foot adjacent, you're probably not going to those parks.
Yep.
So that's probably the primary concern with both those properties is I can't really stack 30 cars in there. I can maybe stack 6 to 10. So it's definitely a limiting factor. The suggestion to go and look is probably a great idea.
And what's the demolition plan at the house? Because the other day when I went by there all the concrete and everything. Is that eventually going to be removed out and then just
It's mostly
everything's
gone
gonna-
now. So they're working it now. To Jason's point, didn't make it level, and it's not going to be level. I mean, I maybe you get something in there, but yeah. So the fire department did their training work, burn it down after a couple attempts here a couple weeks ago, and Public Works contracted out some demo of the remaining stuff, which there's some heavy machinery there now taking it out. So I don't think it's all gone, but it should be pretty quick.
so after it's gone, can Public Works level it out at least level to the and will they seed it, or is at the very minimum will they?
Yep, I believe right now, as they can, they've been putting in fill dirt to minimize the risk of anything. But then, yeah, I think, like Rob mentioned earlier, this CIP kind of gives us an opportunity to see what the timeline exists. And then I think, realistically speaking, yeah, it'll get smoothed out and seeded at the very least.
So I guess just to candidly ask, is this group, is that a fair ask of this group to kind of, and again, I don't know if it's a subcommittee, to me, getting, not to put you as responsible for Little League, but do the same thing for.
I made the mistake wearing the shirt.
Very excited when I saw you walk in. The same thing for soccer. And again, I don't want to jump to, practice space. That probably has to be part of our consideration. But again, to quick elaborate, is that you guys interested in some sort of?
I think it's 100% something we should.
Yeah, I mean,
Take
there's a
on it.
community need, so,
Yeah.
and knowing it's, the regional park is our grand plan, right, but it's still a little ways off. How, if, for opportunities now that aren't gonna be a big cost, investment at this time, knowing that there's other plans for these properties to fill, avoid.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. So the final plug that I would make is, however we formalize this, as part of the recommendation, and you already alluded to it, Darren, is the parking consideration. So if there's if we can get Public Works to do this or that, we can get these amount of field space, but with a little bit more investment in whatever that number is, where we add X number of parking spots, we can do this. Because again, I don't want to speak out of turn. Tried to push on some conversations and maybe get a little flexible with our own requirements to make parking available. The library does have parking. Obviously, that's for their use during their time. I think we can use it when they're not open. So that allows some flexibility there. Third Davis is a different ballgame, but I think there are things that can be done. But again, it's like a yin yang. The more time we have, the more interested maybe there is for some commitment of money. But since we don't know that, it's harder to say, yeah, the city invest whatever or should invest whatever. Those kind of discussions. So it is Band-Aid to get us to what hopefully is a larger, longer term solution. So, but appreciate your willingness to jump.
Is there access to electricity and water on both properties?
Yes, depending on, no to Third and Davis, because that's one of our limiting factors with the development proposals that we've had. Yes, I think closer to yes with the adjacent property. But I'm not in a position. I should have said anything.
Nothing to commit to.
Right. Well, I think it's easier to make happen at the library space, and that's what that looks like in terms of how to do it is. But it's going to be a problem on Third Davis. So I skipped over the normal part of updating you guys on council activities. We approved the budget at the last meeting. I'm trying to think of other things. You guys, some of you got the end of a trail discussion. I don't know if you had any questions, but
What did you mean, the trail discussion?
so we had a work session prior to this, a special work session to kind of reprioritize some of the trail connectivity work that's happening. There was the original route wasn't as feasible as it was originally proposed, connecting let's say going north from the square. So gave direction on that. Well, sort of gave direction on that. Yeah, that's. Yeah.
All right. Any question? All right, then I think we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do you need a motion?
A motion?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know how it works. I'll mention
Okay.
it.
We're there. All those in favor?
Aye. No, that one.
See you June 3rd.